We are now very thrilled to welcome Jessie Woolley Wilson as our special keynote.
Good afternoon. I love hearing wisdom like that from women. Carla's story, we have so many parallelisms. I'm not sure I'm going to add much more wisdom than she shared with you this morning, but I will tell you a few stories. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about me and my family, and then I'll tell you a little story about DreamBox Learning. I'm a daughter of an immigrant. My father came here in 1956, pre-civil rights legislation, and he was a cohort of a few people in Haiti that had choice. And most of them went to Francophone Africa, or they went to Switzerland, or they went to France. And he came to the United States because he knew the story of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And he really felt like, if I have my education, my family, and he would say his faith, there's nothing I can't do in America, because he believed in the idea and the ideal of America. He would kid with us growing up that every American should have an immigrant as a best friend, so that the immigrant could remind the American of how great America was and how worthy it was of continued investment. And I think about that. I mean, I would say, please don't talk like that when my friends come over, please, But as, sitting here over 50 years old, I think about that, and I value that more than I did when I was younger. I believe that every child has a spark. I believe I sit here before you because I am the beneficiary of opportunity. I believe that talent exists everywhere and opportunity doesn't. And I believe the first step to unlocking human capability is to unlock learning potential. So I stepped off banking several years ago and decided to step into education technology to see if I could bring my business acumen to this place, to this space, so we could free up time for educators and other learning guardians by leveraging things that I understood, like technology and business. So I came to DreamBox Learning in 2010 as a stop in my career, and let's talk a little bit about that story. Why do we exist? So these are the NAEP scores. You'll see grade 4 and grade 8, less than 40% proficiency in math. And in 12 years later, guess how much growth we've had? Not much. Our system doesn't work. Yet we have calcified pedagogies and calcified approaches to teaching and learning, and we lack courage to try something different. So part of what I've tried to do at places like Leapfrog and DreamBox is to de-risk a move to something unfamiliar. So instead of hearing me, I want you to hear a little bit about what people who use DreamBox think about DreamBox.
When I raise my hand in class, it's like I'm the math queen, like I'm about to be the president or something.
Every child is destined to be a mathematician. They just need the confidence.
At DreamBox, we believe intelligent, adaptive learning can empower all of us.
Get choked up when I see that. So it began as an idea, and we started selling to schools and districts in about 2011. And this is what we've achieved since then, and I'll give you some context for this. We have about 3.5 million kids on the system. We're in every state, District of Columbia, all throughout Canada and in Mexico. And in the last academic year, we delivered 400 million lessons. So that's scaling, but does it have impact? So we're really dually focused on high growth and sustainable impact. Do well to do good. One of the things we did about 5 years ago, we stepped out and we opened up our kimono and we let Harvard come in and do a study, an independent study. This is unusual in education technology. Most education technology companies have, case studies that they do themselves, or they tell you how kids are doing in their own system, but they don't compare themselves to empirical independent standards. And at the end of this study, we basically learned that if children spend about an hour a week on DreamBox or complete 5 lessons a week, that's it, 5 lessons a week, they can get a whole grade of progression. So the one variable, the one limited resource that learning guardians have is time. They don't have time. They don't have time to do what they're currently doing, let alone learn something new. So we knew we had to de-risk a move to DreamBox. At the same time, we de-risked a move to education technology. And not only did we have the Harvard test, but we also had these other empirical standards that people are familiar with. So Smarter Balance, Renaissance Learning, those folks here who might be in the education space understand these as empirical standards that are used to assess year-end or interim progress on tests. And what we've done is we've developed a technology that leverages highly engaging new approaches to introduce concepts of mathematics. So it's not about procedures or memorizing. It's about doing things with technology that are only possible with technology, to give new understandings that are possible. So this is a real set of 2 kids. They're second graders. They're going through the program. One's red, one's purple. And you'll see that they're going up and back. Well, if they're progressing, why are they going back? When you think about the learning slump in summer or over the Christmas holiday or over Thanksgiving, you understand that sometimes kids lose track, right? And there's a slowdown. So what we've developed is what we call intelligent adaptive learning. And it is bi-level, bimodal adaptation. So I'll give you an example. If I were a second grader, and there was another second grader next to me, and my math skills were not quite as good as that second grader, DreamBox might say, use the math rack, the virtual manipulative you just saw, and build a number, whatever, 79. And I would take individual beads on that math rack until I got to 79. My other colleague next to me, same background, same, socioeconomic status, same profile, said I have to create tens, or maybe they even started 100 and subtract. What we've done is we've developed a technology that captures how kids think, where they are, and then we match their learning path based on how they are thinking critically. So both within the lesson and between the lesson, there's adaptation and individualization. We actually don't know of any other technology that's doing this yet. This is an example of what I was talking about. The first child might be counting by ones, the second child might be counting by fives, the second child might be adding by tens, and the fourth child may be subtracting. Should each of them have the same next lesson, even if they all get the quote right answer? That would never happen in DreamBox. So if there's a child and they have fluency doing 5% of the lessons, why torture them with the other 95? I might need all 95%, and my colleague might only need 5%. So each lesson meets the child exactly where they are. They don't have to get bored or they don't have to get frustrated. And as a result, we build a confidence as we build competence in learning. Different age environments, kids have to be motivated. What happens in primary school is not going to motivate middle schoolers. And it's applicable for individual tutoring or whole class implementation. The vast majority of our clients use a rotation model in classrooms. And it's all built upon the data that we collect. We collect about 50,000 data points per student per hour, and we use that to develop predictive insights that give learning guardians a sense of how they might modify their live instruction to complement where each child is. And then finally, we have developed a job-embedded teacher professional development model. We had to demystify, and I have to confess, this was not something that we intended to do. I love my business model. It was scaling. Like professional development didn't have the same metrics, didn't have the same profitability. But what we heard from our learning guardians was, actually a teacher came up to me and she said, Jesse, what do you do with all that data? I said, we use it to feed the intelligent adaptive platform. And I was like, she's really into this. She's like, why don't you share that with me? So what does this mean? It means that what we've collected here is something that is based on efficacy. We built every single program that you saw, all the content we built at the sub-objective level. So if somebody is failing in fractions, we know if it's because of proportionality or because of whatever the feeder competency is. Differentiate between lessons and within the lesson and the job embedded development. So what does this mean in terms of pathways? We raised about $40 million in the first 5 years, and we had patient capital. So Reed Hastings was our benefactor for years. And I told Reed I would leave Blackboard and join him on this journey, but I wanted 5 years. I wanted 5 years. I didn't want him to talk to me about returns. I didn't want him to talk to me about transactions. I knew that it took a while to incubate this technology and to build the trust of buyers and instructional leaders. And then last year we did a large round with the Rise Fund, an impact fund at a TPG. And I was thinking about the previous speaker, Carla, when she said it's really hard to maintain culture. What I learned at HBS was think about shareholder value and building shareholder value. You can do that with services, you can do that with product, and you should really find people who can help you do that. And I think the model's upside down. What I've learned now with this gray hair is that you really want to get the best minds and the best talent and then remove impediments from their way. If you get the best minds and the best talent and you have shared vision of what you want to accomplish, they will build amazing products. They will deliver amazing services and experiences to your customers, and you will get shareholder value. I didn't learn that at HBS, but that's what I've learned from being in the market these past 20 years. So unique value proposition, scale and innovation, these things are hard. And the challenge ahead is how do I maintain that culture? We have people who left Amazon or who left really big Facebook because they wanted to do something purposeful. And they took pay cuts to come and do it, and to share their wisdom and talent with us. And the biggest challenge now is to make sure that we can maintain that culture and maintain that positive gravity so people feel like they can grow and learn while they help DreamBox grow and thrive. So that's where we are. I think that I'm going to end there because I know we're running short on time and open it up for Q&A.